Scouting Report, www.sjr.com. Jim Ruppert, Dave Kane. Area football, Week 4. WIVC North has the big one. Routt hasn't given up a point all year. And they got the big game against Brown County, and Brown County's rated higher.
Yeah, but I think I think you could throw them all in a hat. And if you threw Triopia in that Division 2, I think they're all in the top 10 now in 1A. Routt, I think everybody thought Routt was going to take a step back this year.
They
lost
quite
a few
athletes.
They lost a lot of good seniors from last year, but granted it's early, but they haven't allowed a point yet. Ben Heineman has stepped in at quarterback. He's done a heck of a job. Brown County, they have a kind of a three-pronged running attack. Joe Cross is probably their top runner at fullback. They don't throw it very much. Probably be a typical 1A battle. It's at Mount Sterling, but I have to go with Routt just because they played so well defensively so far.
2 years ago, this was a wake-up game for Routt. Didn't they win in overtime at Mount Sterling, Brown County 2 years ago? Kind of pushed them up and got them to become a powerhouse that they were for 2 years. Big win 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think so. And if I remember right, maybe Tim Denny, who's now a senior for Routt, maybe kicked a decisive extra point in that game. So it's become a nice rivalry there over in that area. So it ought to be a good one. But I'll go with Routt.
Okay, I'll stay. I think you're right. Routt. We'll go with Routt on this one. Now on the other side of the WIVC, Carrollton and Greenfield, Palmyra.
Northwestern
is rated in the top 10. Also, another WIVC team rated in the top 10 in Class 1A. Pretty good conference at WIVC.
Well, yeah, and this year maybe the North overall maybe is a little stronger with three of those teams. Greenfield a couple weeks ago lost a heartbreaker at Brown County by 1 point. Carrollton, I think. Carrollton's they're 2-1. They lost a tough game early to Triopia, who's a very good team.
Really good.
Greenfield came back last week, knocked off a pretty good Bunker Hill team. I'm probably going to have to go with Greenfield in that one.
I got to go with Dan Bowman at home. You can't go against Dan Bowman at home.
Yeah.
Rochester's got a big game with Pontiac. The youthful Rockets are 2-1. They've had couple easy, tough one with Muhammad, two relatively easy ones. This one might not be too easy for Rochester at Pontiac.
Yeah, both teams are 2-1, but Pontiac's coming off I don't want to say a wake-up call. They knew they were going to have a tough time, but they lost a pretty one-sided game to Bloomington Central Catholic last week. Central Catholic,
59 points or something.
Yeah. So, that's probably the last thing Rochester needed was for Pontiac to get a little extra motivation. Yeah. It's going to be a tough one on the road. I think Rochester is still kind of a growing, developing team, so probably have to go with Pontiac in that one.
What's up in the Prairie State? Auburn just running away from everybody. They're now probably number 2 in Class 2A. New polls came out.
Yeah, they're up there. I'm not sure if they were tied for third last week. Right now, it looks like they're head and shoulders above a lot of other teams in the Prairie State. This week there aren't any really key matchups, although it's an interesting game. Mount Olive plays at Riverton. Riverton's 1-2, which is kind of a surprise. Almost a must-win situation for them because they have several other teams left. Down the road, they've had some injury problems. Mount Olive, I think, has righted the ship since the loss to Auburn. I'll have to go with Mount Olive in that one just because they've played pretty well except for the Auburn game.
I'm with you on that one too. Dobrino beats Riverton again, and folks in Riverton won't be unhappy if a fine Italian man like Don Dobrino gets a victory out of it. Hey, we're out of here. Scouting Report. Catch us next week for Week 5 on Class 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A high school football.